AITA for suggesting my wife lower her standards so that she'll be less overwhelmed. My wife, 37F, and I, 38M, have 3 kids, 12, 10, and 8. She is in a constant state of overwhelm and very easily irritated, constantly complaining how it's all too much. I'm, of course, happy to help and do my fair share for the kids or household, but it's never enough because her standards are too damn high. She insists one of us has to be up at 6:45 a.m. every morning to make sure the kids are ready and make the bus, which comes at 7:45 a.m. I told her they're old enough to not need that much help already. They can all dress themselves and pour themselves cereal and milk. There's no reason we have to be up. She says that cereal isn't a good enough breakfast, they need something more substantial, especially the 12-year-old, and that the 10-year-old has ADHD and will definitely struggle without help in the morning, and anyway, she wants to see them off and kiss them goodbye for the day. So she gets up, then she gets upset that I never give her a morning off when all she needs to do is just take the morning off when she wants, and let the kids handle themselves. Also, she is super strict about screen time during the week and is exhausted and snappy from arguing about it with the kids, and upset I don't support her strict limit of 2 hours a day. I say as long as homework is done, why not until bed? She says it's not healthy for them, they need to play outside or with games and toys, read some books, just to entertain themselves in more ways than one. I agree they should enjoy other things, but not seeing why we have to make such a rigid limit. She also likes to get out on weekends and do stuff like zoos, museums, etc., but then complains about the planning for the outing and how grouchy the youngest gets by the end of it. And again, I say, let's just chill at home and voila, you've cut the work. I'm an engaged and active parent. I'm not trying to get out of it, but I don't think I should have to help my wife dig herself out of her own self-created holes. She creates the stress for herself and then turns to me to alleviate it, which I think is unfair. AITA for telling her she needs to do less and then she won't need this level of help? Comment 1, YTA. Your wife's standards are just being a decent parent, and you are not doing your fair share if you aren't helping with these things you consider unnecessary. An 8-year-old and a 10-year-old with ADHD are not ready to totally get themselves ready in the morning, and you'd know that if you didn't sleep through the morning routine every day. 2 hours of screen time a day is a totally reasonable boundary, and family time and enriching activities are also important. Maybe those can be cut down slightly, but just chill at home all the time isn't the answer either. Stop being lazy and become an actually engaged parent like your wife is. Comment 2. I'm an engaged and active parent. You don't sound like it. There are things a parent has to do for children in the mornings your youngest is 8. Cereal is nothing but sugar. A lot of moms don't want their kids to eat that every day. 2 hours of screen time is generous, not strict. You sound rather check it out. YTA. Comment 3. This is how this reads. My wife is a hands-on, active parent who wants our children to have well-balanced meals, minimal screen time, and fun and stimulating outings. And that's too much work for me. I'd prefer my kids eat whatever they can find in the kitchen without bothering me, that we stay home and do nothing, and the kids play on their devices and watch TV in their spare time. No wonder she's stressed. She sounds like a great parent, and you come off sounding lazy and disinterested in parenting your own kids. YTA. AITA for telling my sister that her husband is right and her baby name idea is stupid. I-24. F. Have a twin sister, Maisie, 24F. Maisie is pregnant with her first and due in February, and the baby is going to be a boy. Last week, she opened up to me and said that she and her husband, 26M, have been fighting over baby names, and she said she's sick of hearing about it and just wants to settle on a name that they both like. Maisie and her husband are both a bit geeky, not that there's anything wrong with that. And she told me she wants to name the baby Luffy, as in the character from One Piece. Her husband doesn't want this name and says the kid will be bullied. She asked for my honest opinion, and I told her that the name is silly and her husband is right. I tried to say this gently, but really how gently can you tell someone their idea is stupid? I suggested that she goes back to the drawing board on that one, and maybe look at names of lesser-known anime characters if that's what she wants. Maisie got upset and said the name is cute and we're both just being closed-minded. I told her she asked for my honest opinion and she got it. She kept trying to convince me that it was a good name and the conversation was becoming hysterical. And I told her it's a stupid name. End of discussion. She started crying and left, and since then she's been giving me the cold shoulder. Our parents told me to just tell Maisie that I'm sorry because my words really upset her and I should have been nicer about it. Comment 1. But it is a stupid name for a child outside of the anime world. She can give the baby a normal name but call him Luffy as a nickname or something. NTA. Comment 2. NTA. I think she's losing sight that she's naming a future adult, not a forever baby. She could use it as a nickname, but as a legal name? It's awful. Kids are brutal. They'll find any reason to bully if they're inclined to bully, but parents don't need to hand them material. Comment 3. Luffy for a boy is a terrible name. Even for a girl, I'm very hesitant because it's way too cute. But she asked your opinion and you gave it. NTA. AITA for not making an effort to increase my child support payments after coming into some money. I got divorced 5 years ago and I lost a lot. My ex got the apartment and out car. I was okay with it because she had our children and I wanted everything to be as stable as possible for them. I ended up moving in with my grandmother to make ends meet. My ex and I were doing a decent job of being co-parents, I think. I spent a lot of time with my kids and I have never missed a child support payment. My grandmother became ill during COVID and I was basically her caregiver. She made it through, but it knocked her on her ass. She passed away about 2 months ago. I am an only child, but my parents are both irresponsible, which is why they couldn't help me out when I needed somewhere to live. My grandmother made me her main beneficiary when she passed away. All that she said was to take care of my kids. I sold her house after I gave everyone their bequests. I took the money and the rest of the estate and I bought myself a house and a car. Her house was old and not in a great neighborhood for kids. I also put money into my children's education fund. When my ex found out what I did, she got upset. She said that I owed her more child support now. I checked with my lawyer before I did anything. Money from an inheritance, the sale of a house, or a lottery win does not count as income. If I had invested the money instead, then the interest would count as income. She thinks I intentionally screwed her over. I think I now have a good, reliable car for work, and a nice, small house in a good neighborhood for when I have the kids with me. We are fighting about it, but I don't think I'm in the wrong. Comment 1. Your NTA. It sounds like you spent several years living tight, sharing an apartment with your grandmother, taking care of her, etc. You certainly weren't living high on the hog then, and you aren't now. You bought a small home and a reliable car, both things that will benefit your kids. You put money in their education funds. It sounds like you're being really responsible with the money, and she's just mad that she doesn't benefit from it. It's not like you came into a huge fortune and bought a beach condo and private plane. Even if you had, you still wouldn't owe your ex squat for our purposes here. I hope your lawyer is correct. Comment 2. No, if she wants to go back to court to get child support readjusted, she is within her rights to do so. But just because you have a windfall from a death and ensuring that your kids have a safe way to and from your house that is also safe, doesn't mean she is entitled to a cut of anything and everything you earn or receive financially. She isn't entitled to any windfall just because you have kids with her. I also would think that your finances largely haven't changed that much with the house purchase since your employment and all the other factors have stayed the same. So over time, the amount of money you were making in proportion to child support is still accurate. NTA, PS. It's none of her business what happens in your side of the family, especially financially. Who let the cat out of the bag? Next time, make sure she doesn't find out. Comment 3. NTA. Sorry, not sorry, but your ex is just mad that she isn't getting money, not your kids. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You talk to the lawyer, everything is on the up and up, so she is going to have to suck it up and stop being jealous. You have a right to have a nice home and a car, especially for your kids. AITA for embarrassing someone by pretending to be Japanese. Backstory. F20. Have a Japanese name even though I am not ethnically Japanese. My mom is Korean and my dad is British. They met and fell in love while studying in Japan, and had me there after marrying. We lived there until I was 14 before moving to the States. This will be important later on. Today, a group of my roommate's friends came over to study with her, and I happened to be in the living room when they arrived. They were introducing themselves to me, and when I said my name, I have a pretty common Japanese girl name, so it's pretty hard to be mistaken about the origin. And one of the girls made a disgusted face and laughed at me, saying that was so dumb. She said that she was Japanese American and I was culturally appropriating her country as a white person. I tried to explain that I lived in Japan for a while and that was why. But she kept insisting I was lying, and that if I was telling the truth, I would be able to speak the language. Since she put it like that, I started talking to her in Japanese, basically explaining where I lived there and asking which prefecture her parents were from, etc. She ends up stuttering through a sentence in an awkward manner before leaving in a huff. Later, my roommate told me I embarrassed her by pretending to be more Japanese than an actual Japanese person and appropriating the culture. And her friend expected an apology. My roommate doesn't think I did anything wrong, but now I feel like I've bad. AITA. Comment 1. NTA. You didn't choose your name and you were literally born in Japan. That makes you Japanese. You're not just pretending to be. Edit. I learned today that Japan doesn't grant citizenship by birth, if we're being technical. Thanks for the info. But being born in Japan, growing up there and spending most of her life there, is enough to make me think it's still part of her identity, and it sounds like OP feels that way as well. Comment 2. NTA. The Japanese-American guest was out of line, making rude comments about your name and accusing you of lying when you told her you'd grown up there. You weren't pretending anything. You have a Japanese name because that's the name your parents chose for you, and you speak the language because you grew up there. Comment 3. NTA. As a white person? If your mother is Korean, you're biracial. Hit back by telling everyone you're expecting an apology from her for disrespecting your biracial identity and minimizing the discrimination that people of Korean blood experience in Japan. If she wants to play social justice poker show her, you've got a full house, and make her pay up. AITA for telling my brother-in-law's wife to not wear the same color as me on my wedding day? My fiancé, 24M, and I, 24F, are getting married in a few months. Recently, my fiancé came to town to finalize his outfits for the wedding, and his brother and brother's wife, we'll call her C, came along with him. I attended B, I, L, and C's wedding years prior, but had never really talked to C properly. I had tried to, but she never reciprocated any conversation and would usually refrain to ignoring me. Yet I still kept my feelings towards her amicable. Returning to the situation, we all reached the store and everything was going smoothly at first. Me, my fiancé, and BIL were all actively discussing different looks that suited my fiancé while C was busy on her phone. / talking on the phone the entire time. My BIL told me she was looking at different dresses to wear at the functions, and in an attempt to make conversation, I asked her what her choices were. She ignored me and would only show her husband. My BIL. I brushed it off because I wasn't about to call her out when it didn't really bother me that much. I was used to her ignoring me. When my fiancé's outfits were decided, we moved to the ladies' section because C was ready to order her dresses. Again, I minded my business and let her do her thing. As she was discussing the dress, I overheard her say it was red. In my culture, it is pretty much known that you don't wear red on the wedding day because that's typically what the bride wears. Same thing as not wearing white to a wedding. I looked over to my fiancé, and he was just as confused as I was. He told his brother that I was wearing red that day, with him telling C as well. I thought maybe she understood and walked away, expecting her to choose a different color, only for her to choose red again. At that point, I was just shocked at what was going on. I've never held any ill will towards her, so I wasn't sure where all this hostility was coming from. Before I could speak up, my fiancé stepped in again to remind her that my dress is red. You could cut the tension in the air, but finally she decided on a different color and we finally left. After shopping, I had planned for us to have dinner before they left as a little treat for them coming this far. Unfortunately, even though I tried to keep dinner easygoing, it was just very awkward. C did not eat anything at all and was absent half of the time to talk on the phone. After dinner, my fiancé and BIL said their goodbyes to me. C did not say anything, walked to their car and sat inside. My BIL gave me an apologetic expression, and my fiancé told me to just ignore her. I went home very upset. I wasn't aware me simply requesting to change the dress color was that unacceptable. A few hours later, I messaged my fiancé asking if they reached safety, and he told me that upon reaching C flipped out and broke the TV, saying, "How could I tell her what color she can't wear? I just wanted my wedding to go smoothly, but now I'm not sure what to expect. And no, I didn't wear the same color as her during her wedding, so it couldn't possibly be some personal vendetta. Just to clear some things up. Edit. We're all South Asian, so SIL is not racist. She lives in fiancé and BIL's family home, joint living, yet where I too will be living for some time. Yay. I couldn't possibly say if she's abusive to her husband or not, as I've never had that conversation with BIL before. Nor is it my place to do so. I can only hope he talks to someone about it if she is abusing him. I can't not invite her to the wedding, as she isn't like this in front of everyone, and she would make some story about how I'm at fault. Edit 2. Thank you to everyone who took their time to read all of this, and for the kind messages as well. Means a lot. Comment. 1. Your SIL really doesn't like it when she isn't the center of attention, and she will be very vindictive and apparently violent to make sure she retains her position of main character within the family. No matter what color dress she wears, you can expect some kind of outburst at your wedding. And she will be the victim when she tells the story. NTA. Comment 2. I'd be uninviting her. I wouldn't risk letting her cause a scene like that at my wedding. She will likely show up in red and is clearly unhinged. Comment 3. NTA. Why are you surprised at all by this behavior and are wasting a single moment thinking it was your fault? The woman refuses to speak to you. She does not like you. She did this intentionally, and only because her husband was there did she back down. She will do something awful at the wedding. Prepare for it or just don't invite her. Please like and subscribe for more daily content.